So it's one of the most important yet most misunderstood adjustments when it comes to the NASCAR truck, Xfinity, even the short track oval stuff like the mods or late models. It's the track bar. And there's a ton of people out there that ask me about it that don't fully understand what the track bar actually does or how it works. So instead of coming out and doing a simple video that says something along the lines of raise it to loosen it and lower it to tighten it, I wanted to do this video to explain to you the actual intricacies and details of the track bar so you know exactly what's going on with it, because it affects every aspect of your setup, and if you are not doing it correctly, it can cause you a ton of problems that you might never be able to figure out or fully understand because you don't know what it does. So in this video, I'm going to not only explain to you what it does and how it works, but how you can adjust it and how you can compensate the other aspects of your setup to go with your track bar depending on the different track types, so you can get your stuff dialed in as best as possible. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much as always for joining me. And like I said, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the track bar in today's video. Now, like I said, instead of just coming out and giving you a simple, hey, do this to loosen it, do this to tighten it, I wanted to actually break down what the track bar is doing and how it's affecting the car in a bunch of different aspects so you know exactly what's happening. You see, when it comes to the adjustments on these cars, whether you're talking about a tour mod, a super late model, a NASCAR truck, or Xfinity, or whatever, the track bar is a very important adjustment, and it has a huge effect on your car. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't fully understand how it works. Now, understanding how it works does not mean you have not been able to make correct adjustments with it in the past. iRacing gives you an explanation. When you hover over it, it'll say, raise it to loosen the car, lower it to tighten the car. But if you don't fully understand what's going on when you do that, you don't understand how it's actually affecting the other aspects of your car, particularly your rear springs and your crossweight, which your track bar has a huge effect on. So with that all being said, let's head over and take a look. All right, so the track bar is the bar that holds the rear end in here laterally, okay? And when you look at it here in the garage, you basically have two track bar heights, and the track bar is mounted on two different positions. So on the left side, the track bar is mounted to the axle, all right? It's actually mounted to the left side of the rear end. On the right side, it's mounted to the chassis, okay? Now, the important thing that you need to understand is how the track bar actually works when it comes to the height, the overall height. And when you talk about the height, understand we're talking about the center line height, which is actually really easy to get. The center line height is just taking these two numbers, adding in together, dividing by 2, okay? So right now, the center line height of this track bar, if we put these both at 10, the center line height is 10 inches, okay? And if I want to maintain 10 inches, okay, I could actually go down a half inch there and go up a half inch there, and my center line track bar height is still 10 inches, okay? Now, the thing that you need to understand about the track bar when it comes to the center line height is it is going to affect the roll center of the car, the rear roll center of the car, okay? So the lower you have the track bar, the more the car is going to roll, okay? Now, people look at this, and they'll say, okay, you're going to lower it to increase your grip. Well, that's true for the most part, but it's not completely true, meaning you can actually lower it and have the car get loose on you, because when you go into the corner, if the track bar is too low, it's going to roll over and dump all that weight to the right rear, which is going to actually have too much weight on the right rear, which can cause the car to now drive around. Likewise, when you raise the car, what you're doing is you're putting the rear end in shear, meaning you're taking roll out of the car, and you're essentially making it to where now you're not getting that roll, and it's basically planting the rear end of the car. But this can also loosen up the car because you can shear the tires off, essentially causing it to slide. And this is one of the ways that you'll know where you're at with your track bar and whether or not you need to adjust the center line height. Keep in mind, we're just talking about the overall height of it right now. If the car feels like it's rolling too much and it's wanting to drive around, you might have that track bar too low. Vice versa, if it feels like the car's going into the corner and just sliding around, well, now you might have it too high and you're just shearing the tires off when you go into the corner. Now, the place that you're going to actually feel this the most is at the apex of the corner. Okay, so basically the track bar is really going to get, energized, loaded, whatever you want to call it, when the car is at its maximum G, which is essentially right at that point, right before the apex. That's going to be the spot where you're going to feel this the most. Okay, and that's where you want to really start looking for it. People will think about track bar adjustments on entry and exit, and yes, they can affect those, and they do affect those. But if you look at it in terms of just the apex of the corner, if you really dial it down to that point, you can really get this thing dialed in and make your car much, much better without killing the other aspects of the turn. Yes, it will affect them, especially if you're too aggressive with the adjustment. But if you're having problems, especially in the center, you can look at that track bar, and that's where you'll really start to see the improvement when you adjust it correctly. Now, the thing that you need to understand the most about the track bar is this. The track bar wants to be level. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. When you go into a corner, the track bar wants to be level. So depending on how you have that set, it's going to determine how the rear end reacts. And this is where we get into rake. Now, rake is essentially having the right side higher than the left side. Now, you can also have inverse rake, or what they call hillbilling the track bar, which is essentially having the left side higher than the right side. But you can only do that by, I believe it's 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. But on the traditional rake, you can run quite a bit. I think you can run like 3.5 inches or something like that. Like, it's quite a bit. Now, that being said, the rake is really going to be where you dial in your handling. So the way that I like to go about this is I will usually start off with my track bar level. And I find, depending on the track, a track like this, Darlington, I'll usually start with the track bar around 10 inches on both sides. Bigger tracks, I might start with it a little bit lower. Smaller tracks, I might start with it a little bit higher. And it really depends on your setup. And the track bar rake is really where I'm going to start fine-tuning things. So, for example, if we lower the right side and we raise the left side, okay, so that inverse track bar rake that we were talking about, what that's going to do is when you go into the corner, okay, and think about it, like I said, the track bar wants to be level. What's happening is now when we go into the corner, it's going to pull down that left side and raise that right side. And this is when you get into the apex of the corner. This is why the car is going to get tight, okay? Because now you're pulling that left side down and you're basically shoving that left rear tire into the track. This is a form of dynamic cross weight, okay, if you want to think about it. And when you do that, you want to have a setup that's going to be on a lower cross weight in terms of the static cross weight. So, for example, if you're going to be running the left side higher than the right side, you're probably going to want to run lower cross weight, somewhere 51, 52%, maybe even lower. It's going to really depend on your driving style and your spring package and all these other factors, but you know that you're going to be more towards the lower cross weight side. On the flip side of that, if you have a higher right side and a lower left side, what happens in the apex is now it's going to pull that right side down and raise that left side up. So now you're essentially unhooking the left rear at the apex and you're planting that right rear, which is going to give you that drive around. This is the route that I typically go. I will usually run more track bar rake because I like to run a much stiffer left rear spring, which I use for my dynamic cross weight. And then when I get into the corner, I want to have that track bar rake that's going to help me unhook that left rear so I can get the car to rotate the center. And then when I apply the throttle, now that left rear spring, that dynamic crossweight is going to come into effect, and that's how I get my drive up off the corner. But keep in mind, you can do it a multitude of ways. It does not mean that you have to do it that way. I have seen setups that are literally 180 degrees in the opposite of what I run, and they are just as fast. Now, I'm not comfortable in them. I don't like the way they feel, but they're fast. And that's the thing that you need to understand. It's all about what you like. It has nothing to do with, finding some hitch in the physics that's going to get you. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I have tested this ad nauseum. Okay, it does not work like that. It's all a matter of what is going to give you the most comfortable car for an entire run, so you can go out there and not only take care of your tires, but be fast in the process. So remember, all right, when it comes to the track bar is going to want to be level. All right, depending on how high or low it is going to determine how much it's going to roll in the corners or how much it's not going to roll. Remember, the lower, the more roll you have, the higher, the less roll, the more shear you have. And keep in mind, your rake, whether it's traditional or inverse, is really going to be determined on the cross weight, the spring package, and all of those different factors that you have with your setup. So when it comes to building your setup or essentially figuring out what you should run for your track bar, what I usually recommend is starting off with it somewhere at a middle static point. Like I said, I like to start somewhere around 10 for the most part, getting everything else kind of dialed in and figured out. And that's when I'll start really adjusting my track bar and then my cross weight, because those two things really go together. And when you can get that dialed in, that's when you'll have something that will really help you out there on the track, and hopefully will give you something that you can be fast with and get some good results. All right, you guys, so that's going to do it all for this video. Now, as always, if you like it, you know what to do. And if you don't like it, you also know what to do. If this helped you and made sense to you, please let me know down in the comments below. That way I know that I'm doing a good job of explaining this to you. And then if you've got any questions, you could ask me down in the comments below, or you could just send me a direct message in my Discord server or something like that. Speaking of the Discord server, if you would like to join the SSR community, we've got a link for that down in the description below. Just head over to schoolofsimracing.net, click on the button that says join community, and that'll get you access to all of the social media stuff, the Discord server, the Facebook group, all those things like that. So you can join that and check it out, because we've literally got thousands of people in the community and helping each other. If you have questions, you can ask it. People will help you. People that you can race with, test with, all kinds of different stuff. Plus, it's a way that you can join our league and all these other different things. So if you want to check that stuff out, head down into the description below and click on the link. Also, don't forget, we are still doing our Buttkicker 2 Gamer, or Buttkicker Gamer 2, I guess I should say, giveaway. There's a link for that down in the description below. Just click on the link, do the couple of steps to get your entries. There's only like 2 or 3 ways to enter. I wanted to keep it really simple. And then you can have your chance to win my Buttkicker Gamer 2 for free. I will pack it up, ship it to you, and it's yours. I'm giving it away because I don't use it anymore. It does work really, really well. I do like it. I think it's very cool and immersive, but unfortunately, with the house that I live in and our race foundation and me getting up at 3 o'clock in the mornings, it would literally wake up my entire household, because it vibrates that much. It'll make that much noise on a race foundation house. So I got to get rid of it, and I figured I might as well just give it to someone in the community. So if you want to join the giveaway for that, link down in the description below for that. But that's going to do it. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. Make sure to subscribe. I've got a couple of really, really good videos coming up. One of them is going to be on how to really save your tires, because this is something I've seen a lot of people talking about, and unfortunately, there's a lot of myths out there that just are not true. And I've had people message me saying, hey, I've tried these things to save tires and it's not working. What's the deal? And it's because there's no shortcut to saving tires. So I'm going to actually be doing a video on that. It's going to be probably the next video I do. So if you want to catch that, make sure you're subscribed and you got that notification bell ticked so you don't miss out on that. And then also you can join me for my live streams. When I do live stream, come join me for that. I do races and whatever. So any of that stuff, check it out down below. But that's going to do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. And until next time, as always, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.